Hi, I'm Sara Gregg. Welcome to today's edition of Geography.
Geography U!
Today, Naomi and I will be discussing the issue of overpopulation in India. India is home to 1.237 billion residents. All these residents must fit on just a small area of 3,287,263 square kilometres.
Isn't Australia so much bigger than India?
Yes, Australia is 7,686,850 square kilometres. That's the problem. India just doesn't have enough room to provide for all the residents.
Due to the lack of land able for Indian residents to live on, many forests in India have been cut down and destroyed just to make more room for houses and estates for Indian residents to move into.
We now cross live to Rachel Kay at a construction scene in India. Over to you, Rachel.
India is a massive problem. This used to be a really good sitting area and a family park area in India, but they have taken over and are constructing. India once had 14.8 billion acres of land that was forested, but now has 8.6 billion acres. The Green India mission aims to increase India's forest cover from the 22% to 33%. But by looking at this, it's not going to happen. India has lost 367 square kilometres of forest cover in the past 2 years, and it's going to get worse. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Rachel. Recently, I visited an Indian river where people were washing their clothes. I met my friend Jamal. This is some footage from that day.
This is India's main water supply. They often wash themselves further up in the river, and this is where they collect their main water supply. As you can see, this is the water that they use and they drink from on a regular basis. This is what they think is clean.
As you can see here, the Indians are not able to provide themselves with washing machines. How they wash their clothes is they come down to such a river and they wash their clothes, and it's as easy as putting it in the water, squeezing it out. They don't use detergents and stuff because it will damage the water and the many living animals that are in the water. A large amount of India's population doesn't have enough money to provide themselves with washing machines or other washing facilities. People find that washing their clothes at a river can sometimes be a good social outing, and people enjoy doing it. Indians come approximately twice a week to wash their clothes. Another way to wash is to scrub the clothes on the wash if they are very dirty. As you can see here, my good friend Jamal is doing that.
Great footage, Sarah. Jamal seems lovely.
He's such a nice guy. We now cross live to Anne, who is at another construction scene further south in India.
On my left, you can see this new building put in. I can't imagine how many trees have been cut down just to accommodate this building, and how many animals have lost their lives. It's not good. In 1950, when I visited, this place was covered in grass and forest, and in 2010, the deforestation rate has rapidly increased, and it is estimated that by 2020, there will be hardly any forests and grasses left because of buildings like these.
We now cross live to Brenda and Tracy, who will be talking to you about species extinction and rape in India. Over to you. Thanks, Sarah. As you can see by the population pyramid being shown now, many more men than women are being born into India. This may cause a lot of men to feel that there are not enough women to share around. This causes many of Indian men to become homosexual. Rape in India is one of India's most common crimes against women. Rape cases in India have doubled between 1990 and 2008. Last year, there were 24,923 cases of rape in India, according to the government's official statistics. That's about 2 per 100,000 Indians. Recent media reports of horrific rapes in India
depict a country where every woman is in danger of being assaulted at any time. Sexual violence within marriage is common, with 20% of men admitting to forcing their wives or partners to have sex. This is a real issue in India. 24,206 rape cases were registered in India in 2011. A new case is reported every 20 minutes. Although the latest estimate suggests a new case every 22 minutes. This is a real improvement. Studies show that we are in the midst of one of the greatest extinctions of other species in the history of the planet. The last recorded species wipeout was said
Now
to
to
be
you,
over
Brenda.
60 million years ago, when the dinosaurs became extinct. Follow. The more and more humans that are being brought to the world affect the animal and plant species more than a lot of people realise. We are killing cluelessly. More humans mean more and more supplies needed. Supplies include shelter and buildings. You will find that in India, many important habitats are being torn down to install housing estates and buildings. The image being shown now shows construction work taking place in India. Can you imagine all the animals that once roamed freely on the land that there once was, before it was taken over? All of the species that have been wiped out, all the plants destroyed, all the animals and creatures that may have once been living in the river, all of this beautiful nature, gone. As the world's population grows unsustainably, so do its unyielding demands for water, land, trees, and fossil fuels, all of which come at a steep price for already endangered plants and animals. Baharathriphium, Disaurus, a prehistoric snail, Ixarotodon, Euganatopithecus, Hyperodapidon, Indian ochreus, Javan rhinoceros, and a pink-headed duck. All of these above species are extinct from the Indian habitat, most likely due to overpopulation.
Thank you, Brenda and Tracy. From the statistics and information that you gave, I can clearly see that species extinction and rape in India is a huge issue. We now cross to Naomi, who was in the studio with me before, but now has travelled to India so that she can talk about crime and overcrowding. Thank you. Over to you.
Overcrowding is a massive problem in India. Over half of India's population live in cities, with 20 million people living in Mumbai alone. Even the jails are overcrowded. In some jails, there are around 81,000 prisoners when the actual capacity is 48,000. The overcrowding in India is also affecting Indian children. Pneumonia is one of the major killers of children in India, as stated by Dr. Deepak Erga, saying that there will be a higher incidence in Mumbai slum children because they live in overcrowded and unhygienic surroundings. The issue of overcrowding is stopping people from having jobs, leaving 76% of India's population living on less than $2 a day. This has led to a rise in homelessness. Did you know that in 2003, India alone had 73 million homeless people? That was a decade ago. Imagine what the statistics would be like now. India is also home to 63% of all slum dwellers in South Asia. Mumbai has 1 in 6 Indians living in urban slums with conditions that are unfit for humans to live. Frankly, I think that the overpopulation problem will be endless, as the population in India in 2050 will reach around 1.69 billion. Crime in India is a major issue. The state Kerala is now even named the state with the highest amount of crimes. The latest crime statistics say that in New Delhi you are more likely to be killed because of a relationship rather than a robbery. Did you know that 1/3 of India's most common motives for murder in 2012 were because of love affairs? Crazy, I know. The crime rates in India have been rising. Overpopulation would most likely be the cause of that. The more people there are, the crowded it gets and the more crimes start to occur. The crime rates are only going to get worse unless the Indian government does something about it, such as what China did, the one-child policy. If China hadn't used that policy, then imagine how overcrowded China would be. The Indian government needs to get their act together and figure out a solution to overpopulation and crime. Back to you in the studio, Sarah.
Now, here are some fun facts from Rachel about India's population. Over to you.
3 fun facts about India. India has the second largest population in the world. The population of India in 1901 has increased more than 4 times by 2011. India has one of the largest rates of abortion. In 2050, India's population is projected to be 1.69 billion. China's will be 1.3 billion.
Thank you for joining us on the show today. Be sure to tune in next week for another edition of Geography U. Geography U!